if we just take a sneak peek, right click, go open a new window, you can see there's a bunch of images. So related to our results, we've got now some images for research purposes for some of the most popular tracksuits, according to what Tavali has found on the internet. So at this point, we've got back the information in exactly the same way that we did using the node, using our search node. But as I pointed out, there are some options in the API that aren't available in the node. And one of them is topic. Currently, topic is set to general. Let's go back and see what options we've got for our topic. So here we are back at the API documentation under Tavali search. And we can see, if we recap, topic had available options, general, news, and finance. And if we want something that's pretty current, we'd probably want news. Let's have a look through and see if there's anything else that's interesting that would help us on our search. So there are some other things like dates, but for the purposes of this exercise, let's just make one change. Let's change the topic from general to news. Now, I don't know if any tracksuits will be mentioned in the news, but if there are, this will definitely pick it up. So let's go and have a look. So now back in N8N, we're just going to make one simple change the topic to news, and let's run that and see what results, if any, we get back. So there you go. We've got back some more results. This time, the difference is the topic is news. So let's see if we got back anything newsworthy. So we can see we've got the same image back. What we can see is in results, we've got a link to Augusta Chronicle. And here the title of the article is, "Who is Georgia's Best Friend?" These are the states most popular for dog breeds. Now, it doesn't look like this is going to be helpful to us, so we can just change this back. I didn't really expect to see anything about tracksuits in the news, but it does demonstrate that we can obviously change these parameters based on what we want. So if we were doing research that was related to the news, or we were a news organization, or we were researching the news as an organization, simply by changing this topic, it could be really valuable to us to make sure all the results that come back are around news. So let's change that back to general and let's run again. And now we can see that this has gone back to GQ magazine, which is fully in line with what we want to do as an e-commerce company. We can see that this is GQ, we've got rush.com, we've got nike.com. So the images are coming from places where we're interested in. And if you look through, it's got fashionbeans.com, fashion site related, 12 best tracksuits for men. One of the beauties of using Tavali is that it makes sure that the information you get back is a lot more likely to be related to what you're searching for. As you know, on Google, we would just get back anything that relates to this sentence, anything that has particular keywords in it. But by changing various parameters, we can get a lot closer to what we're looking for in our research. So now I'm satisfied that we've got back some research. We can always tweak what's in here. We can change the depth of the search. We can change a hell of a lot, but it's a good start. We can even change the country and localize it to the USA. But for now, we've got a good start. So what we'll do now is we'll concentrate on the next part of this, which is sending the information via email. So in order to send information via email, what we're going to do is we're going to take the output of this, we're going to change it to HTML, and we're going to put that HTML into the email. So if you're not a coder, one of the beauties of ChatGPT is you can actually go to ChatGPT and ask it to generate the code for you, which is exactly what I did. But what we're going to need to do first is put in the right node that can accept that code. So the node that accepts that is, surprise, surprise, called a code node. So let's click on that, type in code. We'll pick code in JavaScript. And what that allows us to do is it allows us to paste in here some code that will be evaluated to whatever we want. We're going to get it to evaluate it to HTML. And so now what I like to do is I like to go into ChatGPT to do that. So I decided to use ChatGPT in the end to demonstrate how you can get it to create code for you. Now, here's the prompt that I use, but it was along the lines of how do I write the results and images from the Tavali node into an email? And what it came up with was this. So I literally just copied the code. So if we now go back, so this is our code node, and now we can paste in what we got from ChatGPT directly in. And so if you look here now, what we're doing is we're looping through the results and the images. The results are what have the information in text, and the images is what has images related to our query, which is up here, which is what are the top most popular tracksuits in the USA. So it's essentially just got a constant of results and images It's setting up our HTML for us, and it's looping through the results, and it's building a list of HTML list items in there. It's adding that to the HTML, and then it's adding in obviously an image header, and then looping through all of the images, and it's creating some HTML for the images as well. So if we execute that step, we can see that that's all done. There's in the schema, you can essentially see that HTML is in there, and that will build our web page. So this is the HTML. You can see it as a table. It's still HTML. There's not much to see really. And in JSON form, it's still HTML. So the main thing is that it's created the HTML that we need for the next stage. So let's now go back to our canvas. So now we've got an HTTP request. We've turned that into code. And the next thing is to put that into an email that we can send. So every time we execute this workflow, this automation will fetch the information from Taverly, turn it into HTML code, and then put that in an email for us. So as we've done before, click plus, Outlook. We want to send a message again. Click send message. Here it is. And so I'm going to keep with my original account. All of this is correct. It's a message. We're going to send it to the same address. In here, I'm going to call this new product research. And the title is going to be the query that we ran. Now, as you can see now, there are more objects on the left here. So what we got from our HTTP request, and let's take the query and use that as the title. So now it's going to say new product research. And then you can see down here, it's given us out the result of what this code will run. And it will say, what are the top most popular tracksuits in the USA? So that's going to be our subject. So as soon as the team get this, they'll know that this is going to contain product research for this question. Get rid of the space there. And so now the message is going to be the output of this code node. So let's just drag that in. So now we can give a little greeting to the team. So I've said, hi product team. I've given it 2 line breaks and said the results of the query, which is the same as this query. And you can see it all here as well. The results of what are the top most popular tracksuits in the USA are below. It's given it 2 line breaks, and this is HTML for all of the results. And that's going to have in it links to any articles and also links to the images. And that was all created in our code node. So now let's execute that step and see what happens. So it says success, which means that the email has been sent, and it just says the same thing in all of these. So if we now go over to my email, we'll see what email has been sent. Before we do, I'm going to save. Very important. So again, in my sent items, because it was sent by my team. So it's come out looking like this, and I know exactly why that's happened. The reason is because we've sent it as plain text, but we've put in HTML. So let's go back and sort that out. So back in N8N, what we wanted to do was, if we click on our HTML message, and what we want to do is pick message type and make sure that that's HTML and execute again. Yes, so success there. Let's go back to our email. You can see a new email's arrived, and there we go. So here we go. The subject says, new product research, what are the top most popular tracksuits in the USA? Hi product team, the results of what are the top most popular tracksuits in the USA are below. Search results, 12 best tracksuits for men, ultimate style guide in 2025. Best overall tracksuits for men, and then it's got some information here. It's got a link, and it's got various images covering that. Now, again, this is very, very high level. We haven't gone into any detail. We haven't got specific. We haven't said if they're tracksuits for men or women. We haven't said the year or the location. But at this stage, you can already see how just from a simple query, we've got very clean results here. No clutter, not the kind of thing you get from Google where you get pages and pages, some of which aren't even related. And so this is an excellent use of an API, and we can be more specific to the topic that we're searching for as well. We can also be specific to the country, the year, the time frame, and all those things based on what I've shown you. So hopefully you can see how powerful this can be, and you've learned exactly how you can use an API call to achieve your goal. So now it's your turn. What I want you to do is pick a repetitive research task in your career, your business, or your project, and create a workflow inspired by this lesson. Examples for inspiration are, if you're a product manager, you can go from competitor product research to an email to the team, as we have done. If you're a marketing manager, you can go from social media trend analysis to a weekly digest. A sales manager can go from top selling SKUs to an internal report. An operations manager can go from supplier price updates to an email alert, and an analyst can go from financial data or a pool of KPI information to a formatted report. So what I want you to do is build a workflow that uses some sort of trigger, pulls data via an API, formats it with a code node or into HTML, whichever format you want, and then sends a structured email to stakeholders. And once this is automated, this workflow can allow you and your team to focus on decision making. So there you go. Hope you've enjoyed that. See you in the next lesson.